you so much for subscribing to these weekly videos. It means a lot to me to know that, one, you're supporting me, but two, you're supporting your own health and well-being by continuing to do these posture alignment exercises. It's brilliant. And the fact that you can do them every day, yes, every day the video is going to be there for the whole week, so you have no excuses. You can do them every day. No excuses. I can hear the excuses I can hear them, but honestly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe a day off, and then start again on Monday. Brilliant. Let's keep moving. What better way to start than with really posture alignment classic exercises? So that's what we're going to do today. The only thing that you're going to need is your chair, no bands or blocks or any other equipment today. And as always, I will go through each exercise with the instruction as per usual and detailing what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. This whole video isn't going to last an hour. I'll do the exercise with the instruction. I would suggest you then stop the video, do the exercise with the instruction, and then start me again. Okay, it's the only way you're going to be able to turn me off ever, which will be, I'm sure to some of you, a great relief. So the first thing that we're going to start with, of course, has to be arm circles, doesn't it, really? And yes, foot circles will be in the mix coming up. Don't groan, I can hear the groans already. And also don't cheat. I know what you're going to be doing. If I say 20, are you going to do 20? Yes, Karen, I heard that. Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so arm circles. Everything that we do standing is in with that foot position. Your second toes in, pointing forwards. Not there or not there. Both feet exactly the same, around hip distance apart, which is 4 to 5 inches. Okay. From there, we set our upper body position with those shoulder blades pulling back and down. Then we have our hand position, which is a flat hand. Let me come a little bit closer so you can see. A flat hand, no knuckle showing, so it's not there. Elongate the hand and then pull the thumb out. And from that position, with our shoulder blades pinning back and down, we bring the arms up to shoulder height. And the repetitions for this one are up to you. Let's do 60. Okay, let's keep it nice, a nice number. So it's 6-inch circles, 1, 2, 3, 4, exactly like those. And then once you've done 60 that way, 40, 50 or whatever you can do, turn the whole arm, including the shoulder and the shoulder blade. If the shoulders raise, bring the arms down until they don't. Keep the arms nice and straight and go backwards towards the thumbs for again another 60 or 40 or 50, whatever you can do. Okay, that's your first exercise. And it will feel great afterwards, as per usual. And then we're going to go down to the floor. We're going to go into our legs over the chair exercise. So by all means, do your arm circles, and then let's get down to the floor. Position your laptop or screen so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and then down we go. Okay? So once we're on the floor, we want to make sure that whatever we're using is nice and stable. You also want to make sure that when you put your legs over the chair that your knee is supported. So if the chair that you're using doesn't have support underneath the knee, like this one wouldn't for me, you can see there's a gap there. I'm using this cushion to put underneath to make sure that the leg is fully supported, the femur is sitting in the hip nicely, and my knees are above my hips, and my knees are hip distance apart, and my feet are in line with my knees. In that position, if you cannot put your head on the floor, or you find that your chin is doing this and facing towards the back, then you want a support behind your neck. So you want a rolled up towel, just to give you a bit of support there. We don't really want to raise your head too much, but if your head is really tilting back, then please put something underneath your head so that your chin and your neck are in a nice relaxed position. We don't want to put any tension through the body with this, okay? So once you've got that sorted out, then your arms are always palms up unless otherwise instructed. So again, you're rotating the arms. So they're sitting
nicely within the shoulders, and then the chest can open up and you can breathe while using your diaphragm. Okay, so get nice and comfy in this position, regulate your breathing and start to relax into the floor. This exercise is very passive for you because you're just lying down doing nothing, but it is not passive for your body in the slightest. And this exercise on its own can be done anytime. Anything between 5 and 25 minutes or so is just absolutely amazing for the body. It gets everything back into neutral and nice and released and relaxed. And really what you can do with this exercise is breathe. There are lots of breathing techniques out there. If you're doing this in a nice quiet room, maybe you want to have maybe a little bit of music on in the background, and that's absolutely fine, just to concentrate. But it's great to have a bit of peace and quiet just to focus on your breathing, focus on where the tensions are in the body, and hopefully they dissipate as you go through this exercise. So however long in this sequence you want to spend in this position without doing anything, then that's absolutely fine. You can wait for 5 minutes before doing the next exercise, which I would suggest that you do. But you can have 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you like, whatever you feel comfortable doing. But if you want to just get on with things, just wait 5 minutes, concentrate on your breathing, concentrate making sure that if the shoulders or the hips wanted to squidge about a bit after a few minutes, then please allow them to do that. Just get comfortable, okay? So your static back exercise, which is what this is called, or your legs over the chair, as most of us know it, then that's the second exercise. From this position, we're going to do our pullovers exercise, which is with the fingers linked and the palms together. The arms are above the chest, and your arms need to be nice and straight. That's the crucial thing with this exercise. So we also need to make sure that our shoulders aren't lifted. So if you do bring your arms up and you find that your shoulders are up there, just drop them down, make sure they're nice and flat. And you want to go back behind your head for the first couple, nice and gently, just making sure that there's no involvement from this area. So your rib cage isn't going to lift, or your mid or lower back doesn't lift off the floor to get your arms back. What we want is a nice, even movement, nice and controlled and smooth, back behind the head. If you can't get your hands back behind the head, that's absolutely fine. We just go to a position that your body's going to give you at this very moment. If you're doing this to get your arms back, that's not really what we want. It's crucial that the arms stay straight. Okay, so that's as far as you can go. That's as far as you can go. Just make sure that you don't do that to bring the arms back, okay? No involvement down here at all. So for the first couple, take it easy going back and then come back up to chest height. And then 20 of these, okay? Once you get going, that's the sort of speed that you want. So 20 of these, bring your arms back down, have a little bit of a relax for 20 seconds or so, and then do a second and a third set. Now, if these are uncomfortable for you, and particularly because of any particular restriction on your arm or your shoulder, you can bring the repetitions down for 10 and do 3 sets of 10, or 3 sets of 12 or 15, and aim to get up to 20 by the end of the week. Okay, that'll be good. So that's the second exercise. Again, now you can stop me, do the exercise, and then come back and we'll do the third one. Okay, so the third exercise is going to be abdominal lifts. Now, for this one, again, we're going to have our hands linked and our hands behind our head. Now, you want to fix a position with your eye line on somewhere on your ceiling behind you and fix that squat. This isn't an abdominal lift that's come from anything to do with fitness, where you would come up in a crunch position. This is a back exercise, believe it or not, and this is a technique that you need to be doing. So when you lift, you're going to lift from your body and making sure that your hands don't lift your head first. In the very first instance, if you find that is happening and your hands are lifting your head, then that's what you need to stop, because the movement has to come from you flexing your body. So fixing your eye line behind you, your chin lifts up to the ceiling. It doesn't come towards the chest or the knees. Your elbows stay back and your hands just rest in your head. You don't want any involvement in the lifting from the hands. So from there, that's where you want to be, and then relax back down. It's not a sharp movement, it's a smooth, controlled movement. So you're looking behind, your chin is lifted, and your head isn't coming up first, and your neck is involved in the move. It is purely a upper body exercise, so that's without the arms there. You're still looking behind, my chin is still lifted to the ceiling, and that's where we want to be ideally. Okay? If you're finding this exercise that you get a pelvic tilt to help you out and your hips move, your pelvis tilts towards you and your lumbar spine goes into the floor, then we need to stop that as well. Okay, this is purely an upper body exercise. You want no help from down here at all. So restrict what happens here. And if you feel that happening and you're coming up really high like this, but that pulls the pelvis in towards you, then you need to lower down until that pelvis stops to help you out. Okay? So you're going to aim to do as many as you can in this position. So aim for 25. But do as many as you can. If that means 10 or 15, then do 10 or 15. But there's the movement there. So it's your body that's flexing to lift, and your chin lifting towards the ceiling, and your eye line is behind. If you can do 2 sets of those at 25, then that's absolutely brilliant. Have a rest between each set, bring the arms back down. Just take 30 seconds or so between each set. Okay? So if you want to do that exercise, then please come back and we'll move on. Okay, so we're coming up out of our static back position, our legs over the chair. Move the chair away because you're not going to need that for a second. And foot circles is in the mix, of course. It has to be, doesn't it? It's a really important exercise and, as we know, really good for us. So, having a lie down, again, if you need anything underneath the head or the neck, then please do so. So in this position, your one leg is out nice and straight. Set this leg first so that you have your foot flexed, toes pointing up to you, and the toes pointing up to the ceiling. Thigh nice and tight. That leg stays exactly where it is. This leg comes in. You're going to bring the knee in towards the chest. You're going to relax your arms on your shoulders so you're not pulling with the arms and straining through the neck and the shoulders, so it's nice and relaxed through there. If you have difficulty in holding the leg in this position, then use a scarf or a tie or something or a belt, and you can put it around the back of the leg, and that will enable you to just relax your shoulders a little bit more if you can't hold on with your hands. Okay, so in that position we're going to do foot circles and full big rotations of that foot, and we go outward rotation first. So using the toes, because the toes are imperative to be used in this exercise for good reason. You're going to do as many as you can really. Try and go for past 15, but try to get to 20, and if you can get to 25, then brilliant, let's do 25. Okay? You can go more, if this is all the better for going more. So that's a nice big circle, using your toes. Your leg is staying nice and still. Once you've done however many you're going to do, then opposite direction, we go inward rotation next. Again, using the toes, big full rotation, pushing the foot down, pulling the foot into a flex, and then a big rotation round. Once you've done your allotted amount there, do try and go for more than 20 if you can. We're going to do points and flexes. So that's a point. Again, you're going to use your toes. You're going to flex through the ankle. Point, flex, point, flex. Okay, and again, the same amount as the circles for the points and flexes. In the midst of all of this, you've got to make sure that this knee is not going to get pulled across and you start to twist your hips. And likewise, we don't want to go outside of the line of the hip either. So keep the knee in line with the hip, keep the arms and shoulders relaxed, keep an eye on your straight leg. Outward rotation first, inward rotation second, point flex, all the same amount, and then change, do the other leg. Do this, get the set right with your straight leg first, and do the right amount of repetitions on that leg as well.
Okay, if you want to do those, and then come back and we'll move on to the next exercise. So your next exercise after that is going to be the frog position, which is going to be with your knees out, with your soles of your feet together, and the knees just resting out. Again, we're in a lying down position so that our arms are rotated outwards and equidistant away from the body, with the palms up and nice and relaxed. Do make sure in this exercise that your feet are actually together. You actually do turn the ankles and make sure the soles of the feet together, and just let the knees just drop out wide. Now you can hold this position for a couple of minutes, would be good, 30 seconds minimum. Please do try and just let the legs drop, let any resistance go. If there's an arch in the lumbar spine, if the pelvis has changed position, then please allow your back to just adjust into that and do what it wants to do. There's no point in arching more or pushing into the floor to achieve this position. Just allow the back to do what it wants to do. And again, breathe well. Again, we've opened up your chest and stomach cavity to allow that diaphragm to be able to work really well in this position. Okay, so 30 seconds to a couple of minutes, and then we're going to do the active version of this exercise. And the active version is bringing the knees together, make sure they actually touch together, and make sure the feet go actually flat on the floor. And then bring the legs back out. Again, make sure the soles of the feet are together, and the knees drop out wide. So you're going to do 10 times, bring the knees in, and taking them wide. No tensions anywhere else in the body with this exercise. Touch the knees, let them drop. Don't just get into in and out, that's not the idea. Allow the legs to drop. Allow the legs to touch, activating through the inside thigh, feet are flat on the floor, and take them out wide. After you've done 10 or so, you can do 15 or 20. There's absolutely no minimum or maximum amounts with this one. Let the legs drop again, another 30 seconds to a couple of minutes, and breathe well. Okay, that's your frog exercise and active frog exercise. Okay, so I have a go at that one and come back, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, hope you've got your water with you. So staying lying down with the legs bent and the feet flat on the floor, hip distance apart with the toes facing forwards. Hip distance, it seems to everybody thinks that the hips are sort of really wide. They're not. 4 or 5 inches apart, toes facing forwards, and arms are out by your sides, palms up. From here we're going to do our hip crossover stretch, which means crossing one ankle over the knee and bringing the arms out to shoulder height with the palms up. And this position is going to be a timed position, so you're going to hold the position for up to a minute, and doing this yourself in a second. What we want here is to rotate the hips so that this foot comes closer to the floor. The upper body doesn't move as you do this, so as you do this, make sure that the shoulder doesn't come off the floor. Everything up here stays in its neutral position, and the aim is with this one to allow the hips to rotate fully to enable the foot to go onto the floor. The head looks in the opposite direction, the foot goes flat, and if the foot is flat on the floor, and only if the foot is flat on the floor, then using your hip and your leg muscles, you're just going to push that cross knee away from you and hold that tension in the leg. Don't force the leg back, it's very gentle, but just keep a nice tension. Relax through your upper body and continue to look in the opposite direction to the knees. Okay, once you've done this for about a minute or so, then release the tension on the leg and come back up and change sides. Always uncross and go back to your neutral position with your feet before you cross the other leg over. Now if you're going to do this and you don't have the flexibility in the hips or the lower back to be able to get the foot to the floor, then what you're going to do is just breathe through this. If you are quite away, then maybe find something that you can put underneath as a little bit of support so that you don't put too much strain on the other side of the body and this shoulder lifts whilst the body adjusts. If you want to do that, or maybe put a block
or a couple of cushions or something underneath the foot to give you a little bit of stability whilst the body adjusts into this position. But if your foot isn't off the floor, then you don't push that leg back. Okay? As long as the leg is externally rotated and you don't do this and bring the knee in and then rotate, so the knee is coming down, that's absolutely fine. We want the leg externally rotated, keep it rotated as the hips rotate over, and then you should have the knee in a good position. Okay, so that's both sides, approximately a minute either side. So let me show the other side and do that way, looking in the opposite direction to the knees. Okay, so that's your hip crossover stretch, if you'd like to do that one next, and then come back. Okay, following on from that nice little stretch, we're going to take the body into another twist, and these twists are great for making sure that our cross patterning, which we might go on to in the next couple of weeks, continues and to work well. So in this position, what we're going to do is have another straight leg, a little bit like the foot circles when we did it. Foot is pointing up to ceiling and the feet are flexed. That leg stays exactly where it is. From that position, the other leg is going to come across. Now you can bring your foot towards your knee or your calf, whichever is comfortable for you. And the opposite, Jude is going to laugh at this bit, the opposite arm to the knee is going to come across and pull that knee in towards you. Now, depending on your flexibility, it could be your hand, it could be your elbow, it's up to you, however much you want to move into this twist. From there, your upper body from your pelvis has to be pulled up nice and straight. So from the side, if you do this in that position and then you turn, it's the lumbar spine that's going to take the hit, and we don't want that. So pull up from with the pelvis, right up so you're sitting up nice and tall, and then we're going to twist. So the straight leg is straight and flexed and pointing up to ceiling. The other leg is crossed and the foot is on the floor. You're sitting up nice and tall, not there. That's where you want to be. The hand, opposite arm or hand or elbow is on this knee, and then you're going to open up the shoulders and the upper body. You're going to put your hand close to the back of the body and you're going to look over your shoulder. Pull this knee in towards you, but keep your hips nice and flat on the floor. You don't want to twist and pull one bum cheek off the floor. Okay, so from there, pulling in, twisting, the hand goes behind, you look at the over your back shoulder, making sure you're not looking at the floor, you're looking straight back, and you hold this position for a minimum of 30 seconds, even to a minute if possible. Okay, and of course we're going to turn and do the other side. Okay, so if you'd like to do that one and come back, that's absolutely great. Okay. Next exercise, and we're moving on, we're getting through. So you may need your chair for this one, so let's bring it just like this. Without the cushion, you don't need that. This is our runner's stretch, and what we need to do here is be on our hands and knees just for a second whilst we get into position. So what you want to have is just one foot a little bit in front of the knee that you're going to come up from. So a small gap there. If you're too wide, you'll end up too wide when we do. You'll see in a second. Okay, so a small gap there. You're going to tuck your toes under behind you. Make sure the foot is behind the knee. Now, if you know that you're a little bit tight through the hamstrings and in your lumbar spine, you may need the chair here. I will show you without the chair for a second. So from here, you're going to lift that knee off the floor. You're going to place your back heel down on the floor. You're going to check your foot position, make sure that both feet are absolutely dead straight ahead, and you're going to straighten both legs. Straight legs here is really imperative. So if you cannot get your hands to the floor without bending that front leg or without pulling that back heel off the floor, then you need your chair. Ideally, that's the sort of position that you want to be in. If that is not possible, then you just bring your upper body up until that front leg bends or that back heel goes back down, that front leg straightens or that back heel goes down onto the floor. The chair is there for balance. Even if you're here, then that's absolutely fine. The chair is there for balance. Please don't press down on it and put any stress through the shoulders. And then of course, as the body adjusts, you can take your hands down to the legs of the chair. And again, as the body adjusts, you can take your hands down a little bit further until you can get both hands, not just one, both hands down onto the floor. And again, this is a 45-second to a minute hold. And then of course, you're going to come out of that and bend and change legs and do the other side. Again, a small gap in between the foot and the knee. I'll show you what happens if it's too big and you're here and you aim to do that. Then it really is going to be a struggle to get, it's too wide, way, way, way too wide. You won't get your heel down, that means bending the leg, that means struggling and all sorts of things. So make sure the foot is close to the knee before you start, okay? Use the chair if you want to push down on to be able to lift you up a little bit, but try not to do that too much. So it's straight on the legs, back heel down, check both feet are pointing dead straight ahead. If you cannot get your hands down towards the floor, just use the chair for balance. Make sure you're not here and twisting the shoulders. One hand does exactly the same as the other one. And 45 seconds to a minute, if you want to do that one, and come back. Okay, so we don't need the chair for the next one. Again, we're working all down the back of the body, that line of chain of muscles that don't really get a great amount of work. So the next one is going to be downward dog, and I know everybody loves this one as well. So back onto hands and knees, and again just for a second. If it's uncomfortable on the knees, obviously make sure you've got something soft underneath, or you could just have a couple of cushions or a pad underneath the knees, but we're not going to be on them for too long anyway. So get yourself into that cats and dogs position with your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees in line with your hips. Okay, and then again we're going to tuck the toes under and we're going to lift the knees, straighten both legs, and then aim to push off the hands, to pull the hips backwards over the feet, and the aim is to get the heels down as close to the floor as possible, always maintaining that you've got a nice straight back. What you don't want to be doing is that, lifting the heels and arching the back. What you want to make sure is that you feel as if your pelvis is tucking under and you're pushing off the hands, keeping the legs nice and straight and parallel at the back, hip distance apart, second toe ins facing forwards. And again, this is a 30-second to 1 minute exercise. You're going to hold it for as long as you can and then come back down. If in this position you can't get your legs straight, then you don't want to be pushing back, getting the legs straight. So if we're doing this and that's as far as you can get without, we're not going to push back. Okay, the aim is here to get the legs straight and then be able to push back. Okay, so if you're here, please don't push back and end up in that position. Okay, so from there, 30 seconds to a minute, drop back down to the knees. I'll probably have a drink of water and then come back and we'll do the next one. We're nearly there. So after your downward dog, we're going to get some nice movement back in with cats and dogs. Really great exercise, and this is it. So yes, the cats and dogs position. Even if you have done this one before in some other methodology, please make sure that you stick to the way that we do them and to get the most benefit. So again, your hands are underneath your shoulders, your hands are splayed, and your knees are over your hips, so you've got a nice box shape here underneath you. If you're there, sorry about the hair, if you're there, that's too narrow, and you can see my hips sitting back past my knees. And likewise, if you're here, you're too wide and my knees are now not in line with my hips. So if you look and you see you're underneath, that you've got a nice box shape, you'll know that you're nice and balanced and even. Okay? So from there, what we want to do is instigate every movement from the pelvis. And we want a nice smooth pattern of movement as we go through, very chain-like. So feet are flat, starting from your neutral position. We tilt the pelvis under and we arch the back. So that's the first movement there, the tilting of the pelvis. Arch the back, open up the shoulder blades and let the head drop, the chin tucks down right into the chest. And from there to come out of this one, we tilt the pelvis down, the spine also drops through, the shoulder blades come in together, just let them drop in together, and the head lifts. And then from the pelvis again, pelvis, spine, shoulders, chin into chest. Pelvis, spine, shoulders, lift. Pelvis, spine, shoulders down. Pelvis, spine, shoulders, lift. So once we get into the movement and the rhythm of this exercise, we want it to flow. So straight from one position into the other, and it should feel lovely and smooth. It should feel like the whole of the body is connected, that chain is working right from the pelvis to the shoulders, to the tip of the head, and that's the movement that we would want. Okay, 10, 15, even 20 of these, that's a great exercise if you want to do those, and again, come back. Okay, from cats and dogs, we're going to go into cross crawling, and again, it's this cross pattern movement, which is really important for the body, for the way that we work, the way the body functions. So cross crawling, we're going to have another lie down, and we're going to be with our legs out nice and straight, and our arms by our sides with the palms down this time, no palms up. So with this one, throughout the whole exercise, we want our feet to be flexed. Can you see my feet? No, actually you can't, but you know what I mean. So when we bring the knee to the chest, now you can see my feet flexed. Okay. So as the leg comes up, the arm comes back behind the head, and we replace at the same time. We lift at the same time, replace at the same time. So it's a lift, and again, it's a nice fluid movement. We're going to get motion back into the body now. So the feet are flexed, and the arms are straight, and the knee is coming into the chest. So nice and smooth. We're going to do 20 of these. So this is alternate sides. So that's 10 each side. Now if you can't get your hand or arm back behind the head on the floor, there's no point in taking it back and doing this. So if your arm comes back straight and it can only go to there before you have to bend the elbow to get it back, then please just keep it there until the body adjusts and is able to get the arm back for you. Okay, so to repeat that movement, this is our cross-crawling exercise. Knee to chest, arm back, working the body at the same time. So make sure your leg doesn't come up and then the arm, or vice versa, and then the arm doesn't move and then the leg. Let's try and get some synchronicity into the movement, keeping the feet flexed. 20 of these, and off you go. Okay, we've come to the last exercise, and that's going to be our overhead extension to balance ourselves back up again. So stand yourselves up, and let's do the last one. So again, feet in the right position, hip distance apart, sucking toes in, facing forwards. Do try and get used to that position for anything that you're doing in a standing position. You're not going to be standing in a queue at Tesco's, I wouldn't have thought, anymore. So for anything you're doing, just concentrate on the feet in that position. Your centre of gravity after all those exercises should be pretty good, so you wouldn't need to think about it too much, but just to make sure you're not back on your heels or forwards on your toes and you're gripping on with your toes when you do this exercise. Get your weight centred. So fingers linked, turn the hands, come up to shoulder height, again keeping that gauge on where your foot position is, or where your centre of gravity is, and you're going to take the arms up and back as far as you can go. If it's comfortable to do so, then you're going to look towards the hands. If it's not, then don't. So I'm going to turn sideways because I'm going to show you what we're not going to do. So as the arms come up and back, what I don't want you to do is that. Tip the hips forwards, and likewise to get the arms back, you're not going to pull the shoulders back to get the arms up any higher. Your centre of gravity stays exactly where it is, so the body doesn't move as the arms go up and back. If that means bringing the arms to there, then that means bringing the arms to there. Okay? Don't force the body into a position just to get the arms back. It's not what we want. So, in that position, you're going to release through your midsection. We don't want any tummy muscles pulling in. We want to breathe and breathe well. You want to feel your rib cage going sideways. You want to use your diaphragm. Let's really use the extension in the back and the openness of the chest to make everything work and breathe how you should be breathing. Okay? So this is, again, hopefully about a minute, 30 seconds, 40 seconds to a minute in this position. And then you're going to take a deep breath in and push up and back. And as you breathe out, bring the arms forwards and just relax the arms and shoulders. And that's your online class, your first online video class done. And I will see you next Monday. Good luck. Any questions or any queries, anything that you can't do because of something, I can always give you an alternative. So please do let me know. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.